easy to be like, quit your job and follow your dream, but it's like, well, then I'll be homeless. You know, we were really blessed that a very rich man entered our lives.
Yes.
And paid for our rent for 10 years so that we could go off and be fucking crazy and fulfill our dreams. So the moral of that story is to find a very rich man to pay your rent.
Shout outs to you. You know who you are.
You know who you are. We love you, babe.
We love you. We pray for you.
Always and forever. You're the one.
Hi, I'm Richie Shazam.
And I'm Julia Fox, and we are going head to head for Dazed. Put your head next to my thing. Head to head. We are gonna just have a little chat here, mainly about Richie's new photo book, which if you have not bought yet, you totally should. I mean,
I always feel the most confident in character.
Yeah.
And even that's just like a survival armor. It's like how we live in New York. It's like at the end of the day, it's like to go outside in the street, you know.
Get on the subway.
It's like a lot because you're dealing with like people with different viewpoints and how they see you and how they break you apart. And it's also like quite dangerous. You know, you never know when you're like innately an alien, you don't know how people are going to treat you. Maybe the book in its entirety is like a form of resistance. It's a form of protest. Like we're allowed to be who we want to be. And I always gravitated towards the freaks, you know, because I was like, I'm a freak too. I was building that language for myself.
I feel like when you're a freak, you kind of have like a freak radar, and you just kind of can like spot it in other people.
Absolutely.
Like what did you think the first time we ever met?
Oh, I thought you were batshit crazy. I was actually sweating. I remember like it was an after hours situation, and I was like, wow, like I love you.
Didn't I like get in a fight with some guy?
Oh, you had a meat cleaver in your hand.
And didn't like an ashtray go flying or something?
Yes, we were on the street.
I think I think the guy dumped an ashtray on me or something.
I think something like that happened.
Yeah, there was a full fight with a man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of known for fighting dudes.
Yeah.
I remember you just like being on the couch, just like jaw on the floor, like what is going on?
It was like a movie was unfolding. Like obviously one can argue that our whole life is a movie, but in that movie, in that specific scene, it was so like wow. And you gave me strength. I was like, whoa. Because you know, at that point in my life, I was on the train all the time. I was already dealing with the hecklers and the crazy people. Like we were like doing what we needed to do to get by. And I just remember like seeing your defiance and your courage, and I was like, whoa, like I need to be around her.
Richie loves her fight videos.
I
Give
watch
her
a lot.
a good after school, high school beatdown. Richie will go in.
I'm engaged on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm fighting with them, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you know, sometimes violence is necessary.
Yeah.
Like,
listen, we're city kids. So
it's just different for us. It's how we express ourselves. You know? Someone comes for your neck, you got to go back. You know, it's
like maybe some kids did soccer after school. We had, you know,
we were scrapping on the handball court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we just like linked up, and there wasn't really a moment where it was like, okay, we're gonna be friends. It was just like you slept over and then you just never left.
Oh, I never left.
And it was like it was just so like organic and natural and fluid and unforced. It was kind of like we had probably maybe known each other in past lives as well, for there to be that familiarity and that instant comfort.
I love how we operate because we could literally be sitting on the couch and not say a word to each other, but I know something's rumbling. I know something's going on in your brain. I'm very like intuitive with you. Back to the book was sort of, it wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't been given those safety nets to be myself. And that's something you provided. So, you know, this book is a testament of that.
Didn't you wear heels for the first time with me or something?
Well, we would like casually like play. Like we were like our house was so iconic because literally like anyone who came in, just all their guards were down and everyone would just like get comfortable.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, like within our home dynamic, it allowed me to really experiment with clothing because I always was so femme facing. I just didn't know how to express it. And I always looked to you and Brianna with like such wonder and like, wow. And y'all like gave me all of the tools I needed, you know, and that's how we kind of operate. Like everyone's very hands-on and like building a silhouette on each other's
we're the
bodies.
sisterhood of the
Traveling pants.
Yeah. But it's pants, shoes, bags, wigs, jewelry.
All of it.
Everything. What was it like making this book?
I didn't really have any expectations for the book. I wanted to really have fun with my friends and make something that we were all unified and proud of. It wasn't sort of solicited by a brand or someone. It was rather uniquely for us, by us, and us just creating.
You know, I feel like you would get an idea and then just execute it the next day.
Yeah.
And I'd be getting emails from the landlord of the studio being like, there was naked girl in hallway with dead fish smelling up the hallway. No good. And I was like, okay, so Richie had an insane shoot, the fish that almost got us evicted. In case you all are wondering.
Us working in our familial studio allowed me to really bring my ideas into fruition. What can we do when we're in a really tiny space? Being quite maximalist in our approach and executing the gnarliest vision, and everyone, not everyone has like a singular role. Our other best friend, Brianna, she styled all of the looks.
And if she wasn't there, then I would be there.
Oh, it was all hands on deck.
Yeah.
It was all hands on deck. And I would remember you would get up off your chair and be like, that doesn't work. And you're like, in typical Julia fashion, like, actually, and you would literally make it so perfect and so clean, and like you understood without me having to say much. And I thought that was really cool. Like, and literally anyone who's in the studio had their hands involved in it. And I love that.
And making a lot with a little.
Exactly.
Also, I feel like you can look at, you know, trash bags and be like, oh, this would be an amazing backdrop. And there you go. Now you have a $10,000 set. You know, you really kind of produced all these shoots on your own.
Yeah.
You know, the night before you'd be texting makeup people, hair people, and all your friends that you've accumulated in this industry.
By applying a little pressure, I definitely was like producing these shoots, but also leaning into community and seeing who's available, who's not available, and really, you know, it's a testament of showing up. No matter what is going on, because there's always some shit going down.
Richie was literally having photo shoots, and I'd be at the computer writing my memoir, like with the hair dryer on, so to like drown out all the noise of like a full shoot. But it was like, you know, we have such a symbiotic relationship where we're both working on our books and we can do it in the same space, and just knowing that you're there 10 feet away doing your photo shoot gives me that like calm, reassuring feeling like you're not alone. Like, you know, because writing a book is so daunting and like just such a mind fuck. Like, you know, how are you going to put your whole life into
It's really funny you're saying that, because when you were working on your book at the studio, I would always like whisper at everyone like, okay, keep it down, like don't make too much noise, because I was so cognizant of you working and you were so tunnel vision. So it really inspired me a lot, and I was like, wow, like I'm so proud of my sis, she's doing it, and like it gave me strength to want to work on my own project, because it's very rare in our line of work where we have actual artifacts, like things that we could pick up.
That don't just live on the internet.
Exactly. I got so over the internet. I was like, I think maybe my own disdain for the internet made me want to work on the book. And I also wanted it to be an exercise for myself of re-envisioning how I look and how I'm perceived, and really showcasing all of the different layers of my being and my character. So for me, it was like, you know, very much kind of owning my own alienness, owning my transness,
and celebrating it. I feel like you have a lot of crazy experiences out in the streets of New York.
Yeah.
What's your like craziest New York moment?
Oh, there's so much, Julia.
I remember one time you went out and then you were dancing on top of a car with like a crowd of like 1,000 people like, cheering you on.
I was definitely, this is before I was sober, I was wasted, drunk as a skunk. And my girlfriend pushed me on top of the car, and someone was like blasting reggaeton in their car, and I got in the car, and it was in
Meatpacking district.
It was in the Meatpacking District. And I remember my heel making dents on the top of the car. And the guy was so about it, because it was like pandemonium.
Yeah.
And I was like twerking on a car. It was pretty legendary.
My favorite Richie story, which I like tell all the time, but I don't care, is when we went to your college graduation in like Connecticut at this like bougie college, and we pull up and we look crazy. Like we're like smoking cigarettes, we're like wearing mini dresses, we're like just so different from like the waspy Connecticut crowd.
Yeah.
But we're your crowd.
Yes,
Like, you know,
yes,
we're
yes.
your family. And we like show up and like we can't find your name on the booklet, and I'm like, oh my god, like this bitch isn't even graduating today, like she got us out here for no reason. And then it turned out that your name wasn't with all the other kids' name because you were graduating with honors, so your name was like in a totally different part of the book, and it was like just such a huge like celebratory moment. But it's like that's you in a nutshell.
I think honestly it gave me a lot of strength being in that weird ass bubble. It's like, damn, if I could do this here, I can do this anywhere.
So I feel like you're just such a like goddess and you're so divine. But what's your relationship to spirituality? And do you have a moment in your life that really defined your spirituality for you, like the most spiritual moment of your life?
Becoming a robot, like having all of my diabetic accoutrement on my body, because it really made me realize that I have to be a robot in order to live and to survive.
And when you say being a robot, what do you mean by that?
I think this idea that I have these machines on my body that keep me alive, that literally pump insulin into me and, you know, let me live as much as a quote unquote normal life. And it's something that I had a lot of resistance towards. But once I finally did it,
you surrendered to it.
I surrendered to it, and it allowed me to really feel this like inner spirituality that I knew I always had, but I really felt it.
For me, spirituality is also kind of this like really karmic force. Like anything that I'm putting out is what I'm gonna get back.
Yeah.
You know? And I've also found that in those times where I've been really depressed and like almost debilitated by my fears and my anxieties, like the best thing that really just like gives me that dose of happiness is just really doing service for others. Like, who can I help today? What can I do for someone else today? And like the little things. It doesn't have to be these grandiose gestures, because I find that a lot of times those come from a very selfish place of like, look at me and like all I can do. We're taught and we're programmed to be so me-centric, like I, everything is mine, me. But it's like, no, like we are, you know, we are human beings, and we're all about community, even like physical touch and like, you know, things like that are so enriching to the soul. So for me, spirituality is really, it comes from community. It comes from the fact that we can read each other's minds. You know, it's in everything.
I really enjoy listening to people and like hearing what they have to say, and I love.
You're like, you would make the best life coach. Also, we're starting that as a thing. Richie's going to start a life coaching business. So, yeah, sign up.
It's going to be mega.
Now that we moved in to a beautiful home, we need to start having some dinner parties. So you do your lineup and then I'll do mine for your dream guest.
Martha Stewart.
Courtney Love. Madonna.
Absolutely.
Love
yes.
her.
Honestly, I've always wanted to meet Oprah Winfrey. Like we share a birthday. Like
yeah.
I really want.
I get that.
I want to eat a meal with her.
Heidi Fleiss.
Respect.
Icon.
It's also like operating from the other end. Like people really want us at their dinner parties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like we have to take that into consideration.
Right.
Because we're like the ones, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good dinner lineup. I feel like it's a lot of personality. I can only take so much at one time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cap it there.
And
maybe Adam Sandler.
Absolutely, for shits and giggles.
The best.
And we'll need like, I'll need a sugar-free Red Bull to like pump through the night.
Yeah.
It's giving a lot of performance art.
Yeah. If someone were to play you in the movie of your life, who would you choose? Priyanka Chopra.
No, I don't relate.
No.
I don't relate.
No.
I feel like it'd be kind of cool to have Meghan Markle play me. Because it'd be like such a gag.
She's probably going to need to get back into acting soon.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she's such a great actress.
Yeah, she's great. Do you have any fashion regrets?
I feel like honestly, through like desperation and not having like necessarily the means, it was really hard to like express myself as a kid. So maybe like the regrets lie at like
in your Tevas.
Yes, in my Tevas and Old Navy t-shirts. Like I was having a rough time, but I always had that personality, so you know?
Yeah.
I still had my charisma.
You were always a spitfire.
Always.
If only people could like see us the way we are when we're not like, you know,
lights, camera,
doing
action.
it for the cameras. Like it's like baggy t-shirt, graphic tees, like sweatpants, Crocs.
People don't see that side of you. They
They
don't see the like Bobette the builder.
Yeah,
you know?
Jed. They call
Jed.
me Jed when I start fixing things around
Yes,
the house.
she's always been Jed.
Yeah, but yeah, no fashion regrets for me either. I feel like, you know, every outfit is a moment in time, and like however I was feeling that day. Sometimes it's crazy, sometimes, you know, it's a hit or miss.
Yeah.
So, you know, if people don't like it, it's like, well, you know, then you just say you don't understand art, you know?
That's it.
If you were stuck on a desert island, what 3 things would you bring with you?
I would bring my insulin,
Ooh.
I would bring a hammer, and I'd bring my book.
Okay.
Because my book could also be used for paper for the fire.
Fire.
Exactly.
Smart. Can I bring my cell phone so that I could call someone to get us the fuck out of there? This was so amazing, and thank you all for watching.
Check out my amazing book, Shazam. It's available online, and I'm really excited for you to experience it. Thank you, Dazed.